All right, now we'll go over your lab. Oh, ooh, right, big mode. Okay, so the purpose of this lab is explore polymorphism with Java interfaces and practice using comparable. Polymorphism, basically let's use our interface that we've been talking about so far, and then let's implement comparable. So we're going to have 3 parts here. First off, I want you to create a priority interface as described in api.pdf. All right, well, let's go look at that. So it can get the priority and set the priority, being passed an integer. And get priority returns an integer. So that's the interface. The interface is just saying your class has to have these 2 functions. All right. Good. Create a class task that implements both priority and comparable. Go ahead and stub out the functions required by both priority and comparable. So let's jump over there to task. Notice that it is different. Oh, here we go. Implements priority and comparable. So you have to implement the compare to and the priority. You want to set the priority. You want to set up compare to based on priority. In this lab, a higher priority means a higher integer passed into priority means a higher priority. So it's intuitive in that regard. Other systems have it in reverse. But in this one, a higher number means a higher priority. Let's see. So then implement the task set and get priority and implement compare to as described in the API. That's it for part 1. Part 2, I want you to create 3 classes, low priority task, medium priority task, and high priority task, that each extend task. So let's jump over there. Low priority task simply extends task, and it's going to set its priority to be lower than the others. Medium will be between low and high will be higher than low and medium. If you do this correctly, each of these classes will contain a constructor that has 1 line of code in it. So if you're in there and you have only 1 line of code, you probably did it correctly.
So for the priority tasks, all 3 of those, they should only have 1 line of code in each?
You can do it with 1 line of code. I'm sure I could find a way to still be correct with more lines of code. But I'm just saying, because some people, when they do my labs and all of a sudden the answer is really short, they think they're not correct. Sometimes the short answer is correct. Yeah, some of my answers or some of my labs, it is really short if you do it right. So part 2 can be pretty quick if you think about how it's hooked together. But it's meant to make you think abstractly, which will hopefully show you why setting up this interface of priority and implementing comparable makes part 2 really, really easy. So think about that. All right, part 3 is going to be, any other questions about part 1 and 2? Those are joined together. Part 3 is going to be something different. Great. So now we're going to implement a player class that keeps track of a player's name and score. Then create a player list class that sorts all the lists in ascending order. Ascending order? Right. To compare the players, first compare the scores, where the player with the highest score is first, and the player with the lowest score is last. If 2 players have the same score, then the player with a lower lexicographical name comes first. Oh, I didn't put an example up here. So this is a little confusing because we're using high and low in a weird way. But your list should return in the first slot who's number 1. So if you have Amy with the score of 100, Bob with the score of 37, and we'll just say Chuck with the score of 100, your list at the end should be Amy of 100 comes first, then Chuck, 100, and then good old Bob. Because, well, first you do it by score, so everyone with the higher score comes first, and then to break ties, Amy, being coming first lexicographically in the dictionary, would be placed higher than Chuck. All right? And then, lastly, create a get average score that takes a collection of players and returns the average score. We'll just look at the API real quick. Get average score, sort the players. Okay. Hopefully I just showed you how sorting players can be easy. Any questions? All right. Turning in with GitHub, it's due a week from today. Yeah, sorry I won't be here that day, but it's due a week from today, because then we need to get, I guess next class we're going to have to start getting into GUIs. Any other questions? All right. Well, that is all for today then.